Hello, welcome to ART102. My name is Daniel Lopez. My pronouns are he, they. You could call me Daniel, Mr. Lopez, Professor Lopez, as long as it's respectful. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. All right, so I'm going to share screen. Okay, so first of all, um, I always like to start off with a land acknowledgement. So I'm going to go to the slideshow. Okay, let me minimize my view. All right, so land acknowledgement. We are gathered on the land of the Kalapuya, who today are represented by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians, whose relationship with this land continues to this day. We offer gratitude for the land itself, for those who have stewarded it for generations, and for the opportunity to study, learn, work, and be in community on this land. We acknowledge that our university's history, like many others, is fundamentally tied to the first colonial developments in the Willamette Valley. Finally, we respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Indigenous students of LBCC. All right. So yeah, this is ART102, Understanding Art. This is obviously the first week, first day. If you're watching this, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. It'll make a big difference as far as learning this material. Um, I'm a human being and I'm the type of person where I would need to watch the video instead of just reading on my own. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Also, make sure you have something to write with and write on. There's going to be a couple prompts here in this video where it'd be helpful for you to just jot some things down along with whatever notes you're already taking. All right. Oh yeah, so notes about the images that are posted throughout these slideshows. So if they're not mentioned in the text specifically, then they're usually just for decoration and don't necessarily have much to do with the text itself. I just want to make sure this slideshow is visually interesting. Otherwise, it's boring as heck. So most images are taken from Twitter and they don't have a proper title, so I don't have it the title there, but you can click on these images. They're links that will take you to the original source. So they're all cited, but only through links, pretty much. So if you like that artist, click that image and you'll find out more about it. So what is this class? So this is called Understanding Art. That's the title. Other schools call it Art Appreciation, or at the college I went to, it was called Intro to Art. So it's focusing on how to interact and learn about art. You will learn how to, well, you will make art, but you don't have to be good at it. So this is a lecture class. It's not a class about making art. Again, you will, but that's not the focus. We're learning about how to look at things more critically, right? So instead of just looking at art and saying it's good or bad, I will be giving you tools in order to be a little bit more eloquent with your answers on what is this about, what do I think about this, and just looking at things deeper and providing little definitions of things and giving framework to art and looking at different aspects of art in general. So yeah, this second point I find important. Yeah, you'll be able to look at art critically, but I encourage you to question it, question art around you, question art you see on the slides here, question art that you see in other art history books or on the walls of the gallery that you're in, etc. So I want you to make sure that art isn't a static object. It's something you interact with and you have a dialogue with in your head or with other people. But yeah, I don't want you to treat art as just things that exist and that's it. So what will we be doing in this class? So we'll so there's this phrase called visual literacy. Basically, we all have it. We can decode things, but just like the last slide, um, we're going a little bit deeper, a little bit more nuance, because yeah, we could sort of see what this comic is and what it's about. But we're also kind of going into the why and going deeper into the language of art and what it can be, what it might not be according to some people's definitions. So yeah, we're just kind of expanding that a bit. So what's going on in this picture? Okay, so what we literally see, where they have listed, is a slab of granite or some other material. We also have writing etched into the granite in memory of Peter Compton with some dates and a text that says, "Well, that was a waste of time, RIP," and it's surrounded by grass and leaves. So what is this about? So we can see that it's most of us will, I would say all of us, could probably guess that it's a headstone for someone who died because we're given a person's name, dates, which are probably indicating when the person was alive, when they were born, and when they died, and then a quote from them, which kind of tells us about the person. So it's in this area of nature, and we know that graveyards are usually have grass and trees and bushes and stuff. And so we understand this as a gravestone. It's not just random colors put into an image. Um, Everyone knows what pixels are. Like there's thousands, tens and thousands, maybe 100,000 pixels or so. There we can see that this is a photograph by the fact that it's realistic looking. Um, I mean, it might be done by AI. That's a whole nother topic, but it's we see that we understand what this is immediately. It's obvious. We can see things like this day to day in our daily lives. I mean, maybe not a graveyard necessarily, although I have a friend who's really into graveyards. Um, we understand what this is. And so we're using that knowledge of what we've seen in our experiences and think, oh, yeah, I've seen a gravestone like this. And I've seen it has a person's name, their date of birth and date of death, etc. So we use the information that we've had in the past that we've learned as human beings and applying it to this image. So this next image, here's what we actually see on a physical level. Rectangles and other odd shapes. The shapes are differently colored and different sizes and such. And the caption has the hashtags digital art, digital painting. So at first it does look kind of like a weird random mess of rectangles, right? However, the more we look at it, the more we realize, oh yeah, that might represent a pot with reflections on a mirrored surface. So even though these are technically abstract extractions, which we'll go into later, um, we'll we basically know what's going on just because of our experiences and our brains putting these things together. There's a lot of um, like psychology behind this kind of thing that I'm not going to go into because that's a whole course in itself. But yeah, we can still interpret these things even though it's sort of weird and colorful and bizarre. Okay. And so for these three images, what do these mean to you? So if you're what's called terminally online, if you're on the internet all the time, you probably understand these three. Left one, if you're on Twitch, you know what Kappa is. In the middle, that's the loss meme, LOSS. And on the right is from a Vine about this person being in their mom's car. Um, so these are just, if you're not sure what any of these are, even after I explain them to you, they might not really mean much. However, if you do, there's a lot of meaning, and it might bring a lot of memories. Um, there's there might be like references to things like, oh, I'm thinking about this. This is a vine. I'm thinking about the other vines that I like. Vine's basically TikTok that ended in 2017. It's at 6-second loops. Um, Long story. Let's not get into that. All right, so I always want to introduce myself. Again, I'm Daniel. My pronouns are he, they. So far, I've taught 120, 102 as well, of course, 121, 122, and 263. I live in Eugene, Oregon, so I don't go up to campus this term at all. So yeah, don't ask if we can meet because yeah, I'm here in Eugene, and I'm on Discord all the time. That'll be great. So yeah, 35 Pisces, INFP, LGBTQIA plus. I have my bachelor's undergrad degree in creative photography, and I minored in human communication at U of O. That's where I did my master's. I have a degree in art. Um, U of O is a interdisciplinary program where um, although I was sort of put in digital art section as far as teaching was concerned, it's just a general degree. I have a daughter. Her name's Barry. She's a corn snake. I have two pairs of Crocs, which I love. I've really gotten into death metal over the past couple months for some reason. I don't know. Um, Something just clicked. I don't really care for most metal, but death metal and black metal are like I'm really into them. Um, Certain things at least. Politically independent. So basically I'm putting this out there like I'm not gonna talk about partisan ideals. I don't subscribe to like doing one like belonging to one faction. Everything I do is a case by case basis. So I'm not one way or the other. I'm just like I decide I'm basically an issues voter type of person, and I kind of apply that to my whole life. I like to look at things individually and judge them from there instead of a whole um, blanket statement or blanket judgment. That's just how I operate. My number one vice is cookies. Yeah, I have a bunch like right there. I eat too much of them, unfortunately, but can't help it. Favorite liquid is water for many reasons, and I have a big container. Forgot what this is called. And this picture is myself and Pitfall Jones. He's a independent pro wrestler. I love pro wrestling. It's stupid and funny and fun, and everyone's in on the joke, and it's just a great time. So I don't know. Here's the holiday card I sent out for my family with my mom, my brother, his girlfriend. Um, the dog, even though it says untitled dog, his name's Brisket now. And here's Bimbo and Amakis, and my daughter Barry. The background is from Elden Ring, which I completed last summer. And here's the hidden, kind of hard to see Blythe, was my favorite character from that, obviously. Here's some stuff that I teach otherwise, other than ART102. So I do teach a video class. However, like I don't want to embed it here as the stuff I do there. But basic animations part of it. This was a demo I did of rotoscoping. I also teach how to let's see. I also teach how to like transform or do design projects. So this is transforming uh how was it called, Dark Souls 2 into Bork Souls 2. I talk about branding and logos and advertisements and stuff. And this one is actually a um, project about taking a a Twitter account called the Share Zone, where this this depressed and anxious skeleton called Admin, ADMIN, um, overuses Photoshop for these like weird and funny memes. Um, so yeah, the depressed and anxious skeleton is called ADMIN, admin. This might be important for the quiz. Just saying, which I will unlock after I do this lecture. So influences, so illustration and comics, despite coming from a fine art background and that we never learned about illustration or comics or whatever, I've gotten really into them as far as like they're just cool. I'm the type of person, and I'll discuss this a lot more. I don't think fine art like Picasso or whatever is more important than like comics or whatever. Um, they both have different kind of cultural weight, and they're obviously different time periods. They have different meanings in cultural context, but I don't think importance is really what I care about. It's, am I enjoying this right now in my present state? So I'm definitely the type of person, the art type of artist who does not think that painting is above comics or whatever. Just want to make sure that's clear from the get-go. I also love abstraction a lot. We'll talk a lot more about abstraction, so I'll skip the talk on that. Naive art, basically, this is one of my favorite artists, Ayla Flora, and she creates like these really weirdly proportioned, very colorful um, images or illustrations. They're not like technically like highly proficient in that way. However, she went to, I think she has a degree in illustration, and she sort of, like, when you have a degree in illustration, you have to learn the basics. I'm sure like she could do really great drawings of horses that are very realistic. However, you she knows how to break away from that and create her own style. And these her art, I was gonna say drawings, everything she kind of does just makes me happy. Like, oh, this is such a beautiful use of color that I never would have thought of, for example. Um, and also surrealism. I'm really into surrealism and the idea of psychedelia, which isn't about drugs. It's about experiencing things that are beyond normal human perception. Yes, that makes me sound like a hippie, and no, you don't have to do drugs in order to get into that state of appreciating it. It's just, I like weird, cool things. I like life as it is, but I also like wonder like what would it be like if we had 8 arms and stuff like that. I don't know. I've always just kind of been drawn to weird stuff. And you can also see that it's AI created, it's yeah, created by AI. Oh boy. So this is a slide from last year. And I decided to keep this AI thing because um, back then I was pretty naive as far as like what goes into AI and such, but it's become such a huge topic within the illustration industry, um, that last term, for my basic my what would you say, like intermediate Photoshop and Illustrator class, um, where we do illustrations and stuff, we I had to give a talk about a lecture about how what to do with AI as far as stealing artist jobs and stuff like that. So I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but I hope so because it's pretty big, pretty hot topic right now. So here are my non-visual art influences. So video games, I'm really into video games. However, I'm much more into like smaller indie video games. First of all, because they're usually weirder, they're shorter, which is a good thing. Cheaper, and I don't know. I like smaller scale things because it's less daunting to think about, oh, I'm gonna spend 100 hours on this. I mean, you will see that I did complete Bloodborne and Tomb Raider Anniversary and Prey Moon Crash, for example. Um, but yeah, like indie games are my passion, I guess, when it comes to video games. I'm also really into movies. I I have a friend who does movie night every Monday, so I go to that. And I go to the theater sometimes. I just saw Cocaine Bear, which is stupid and entertaining. Um, I don't know, like some I like kind of a lot of different things. But yeah, as long as it's entertaining, I will enjoy it. I have a low standard for that. Books, I really like books. I'm mostly into visual novels, because they're quick and easy to read, and I'm a visual artist and I love them. Um, and but I also read plain, what are they called? Just text books, I guess, novels, prose, whatever. Um, I usually try to read them at night because you're supposed to not look at screens for an hour before bedtime. I don't always follow that, but when I do follow that, it's because I'm reading a book. I'm also very, very, very much into music. Mostly my favorite things basically exploring Bandcamp, which is kind of a digital distribution platform where you actually buy the music. And I like to just discover new music through that. Um, it's a lot of fun. I don't play music though, unfortunately. So let's talk about you. So why are you in this class? All right. So there's several reasons. You may have more than one reason. Um, the most I would say the most obvious reason is because you have to. It's part of your degree, whatever it is, and that's fine. You don't have to necessarily have a passion for this. Maybe this was the only thing that was open, or the only thing that like could fit in your schedule. That's fine. There's absolutely no judgment there. Maybe you are interested in art, and this was the most exciting option to you. Maybe you are an artist and you want to learn more about the process. Infinite amount of reasons you could be doing this, but um, I hope you're enjoying it. Think about what your experience with art is. So this is always interesting to think about, and it relates to your first assignment as well. What have you done? Think about what galleries you've been to, and what you've seen as a kid. Have you purposely gone to galleries as an adult? Like, do you make pottery? Do you make paintings? Do you frequently comment on other people's artwork online? um, Whatever. So there's all sorts of different, everyone has their own unique experience with art, basically. And that's kind of important because you want to think about where you stand right now and how that's going to affect how you look at things and how you're going to engage with this class. um, Subject position. So this is a pretty deep theory, basically about that. I'm simplifying it, but it's basically like who you are and what you've done in your past, your identities, your actions, those define who you are right now and how you approach things, right? So, like I said, like it says on the slide, we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but yeah, think about like where you're from, how that affected your access to art, what you've seen or what you haven't seen because of that, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, one thing I want to emphasize is that, yeah, I might have a master's degree in art, but whatever. Like, I don't see myself as, I don't see anyone else like as less important than me. We're all contributing to culture in some way, whether it's making it, criticizing it, enjoying it, giving money to artists, whatever. We're all equal in this classroom here. So just because someone has more experience than you in something, like that doesn't make you better than them, or vice versa, right? So I want to really emphasize that. So what is art? Without looking, so this is where you bring out your pen and pencil. Without looking it up, what do you think the definition of art is? And I'll just take like 20 seconds to let you write it down. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now that you have your own definition, I'm going to provide you with a definition for this class. There is no singular definition, and I know some people might find that frustrating or stupid or pretentious, but the thing about that is there's so many definitions because there's so many viewpoints about what is art, across people from different cultures, different times. It's kind of impossible to pin down. So think about that. Like, there's no single definition of art. Um, so within this class, it's called understanding art, right? So that means we can talk about anything, right? Um, kind of, but not really. So we are going to focus on things that are obviously art, meaning things that are in galleries, drawings, paintings, sculptures. We're not going to talk much about, for example, like signs, um, like no skateboarding signs or whatever. Um, that's more design, which is obviously a lot of overlap with art. Um, yeah, and there's ambiguous things that can be considered art by some people, but definitely not by others. Specifically, video games is a big one. That's why I have this uh, really low detailed rat from a video game. But yeah, we're going to talk about different viewpoints about this and why that's important. So there is a definition according to dictionary.com. Um, However, this is still limiting for this class because that's a dictionary, right? It's not an encyclopedia. So we this is basically a course of like we're talking about what art is, what art isn't, amongst like a million other things. So this is just an example of a definition that might be given in a more formal context that's not necessarily coming from an art perspective. It's coming from a linguistics perspective. So, what do you want from this class? This is an important thing that I want to emphasize the most out of anything is you will only get out of art what you put into it. So what I mean by that is if you're not going to put effort into trying to understand art, you're not going to get much out of it. The more effort you put into it, the more the more you'll understand it, the more you'll be interested. It might change your mind about something that you don't like. You might make like something less because you learn about it. But either way, if you just look at something and say that's crap and walk away and don't try to understand it, you're not going to get much out of that. So yeah, now that you're taking this class, you are forever responsible for putting effort into thinking and talking about art. You are not allowed to dismiss an artwork right away. You are not allowed to like a piece and not understand why. It is illegal and you will go to jail and everybody will cry because you didn't do your job as an art appreciator. Okay, that's exaggerated, obviously. But generally, within the context of this class, you are expected to look at art more deeply than you would in everyday life that you might have up until this point. Okay, so think about why you like or dislike an artwork. Okay, so do you like how it looks? We're going to talk about elements and principles in the future. I think week 3, and you'll be able to put more words to why you like something. Do you like it because it looked like it took a lot of work? It has a lot of details. It's realistic. Do you like the subject matter? Do you not like it? Was the effort level that you perceive? Does that affect how you like or dislike an artwork? Maybe the idea is the strength of it. Maybe it's a simple painting, but what it stands for, what symbols there are, might really blow your mind. Um, does it look pointless? Do some research on it. That's a huge thing with like a lot of minimalist or abstract art. Is it looks kind of why did someone do this? Like maybe there's a reason, maybe there's not. You know. And cost. Some people don't like artwork because it costs so much, which is something we'll get into probably a couple more times. So if you do enjoy art and you know how to express it, like maybe talk to other people about it. The best way to do it is talk to a non-artist or someone who hasn't taken this class and explain to them why you like it. That way you have to use terms that aren't jargon. You'll have to convert your art knowledge, which you will have a lot of in this class, especially. You'll take that art knowledge and try to distill it into a way that um, laymen don't, that laymen can understand. People who aren't familiar with these terms. Okay. Um, Look at other pieces, find more from the artist, do research, and maybe write about it if you want. All right, so this next topic is modern art. Okay, so within the field of art, modern art doesn't really mean much. There's modernist art, which is a movement in the mid 1900s. But we're probably, when people say modern art, they're usually talking about contemporary art. So in this instance, because it's relevant for the next couple videos, yeah, when these people talk about modern art, they're talking about art in recent times. So I'm going to show just a little bit from this video. It's pretty short, but this is um, Andy Rooney, and so his shtick was to basically complain about things on this TV program, 60 Minutes. I'm just going to show you about a minute of this. Sound's not working. Is it working now? All right, so I'm going to skip a little bit through that. And so he's basically complaining about these like being crap and stuff. So so yeah, this is Andy Reid. He's complaining about modern art. He doesn't understand modern art. It doesn't make sense. It's crap. It doesn't take effort. Um, yeah, if you can't hear it, then it's a short video. You can um watch it on your own, which I encourage anyways. So basically he's saying like um this corn cob thing is modern art. This bunny's modern art. Um, this sculpture dedicated to MLK's modern art. This is modern art, and he doesn't like it, and it sucks. Um, so there's many problems with that. Basically, more or less, he's defining modern art as things he just doesn't like. Um, because me, someone who's educated about art, there's no connection between all these things. Um, but at least he admits that he's a know-nothing boob, which is a phrase not used very often. Um, but yeah, let's move on to the next video, which again, I'm not gonna, don't worry too much about the the sound. So this is from the same program. This guy's name is Morley Safer. So he's going to a auction house, where basically these contemporary art things, he uses a correct term, contemporary art, um, are being sold for tens of thousands of dollars. He's like, look at this scribble, it just sells for like the 2 million or whatever. And then he talks to this artist, Jeff Koons. I forgot how much this has cost, but tens of thousands of dollars for this basketball suspended in this tank. So he's actually talking to the artist, which I find pretty cool. And then where is it? So he talks crap about this, and this guy's explaining like the metaphor behind this piece, and then Marley Safer says like whatever, like he a witty retort to it. And then there's this like oblivious, clueless lady who's talking about what these pieces mean. You can tell she's like just kind of repeating things. And then he talks to like this guy and this stuffy guy. And they're just saying, oh, all this is crap, basically. Um, and it goes on and on and on and on. So lessons to take from these videos. So the first one is that blanket statements and judgments are unhelpful. So like the first video with Andy Rooney, like I mentioned, he said he doesn't know much about what he's saying, but he um, says like modern art sucks, and he just shows things he doesn't like, right? So that's a huge issue. Obviously, he's just saying here's what I don't like, and it all sucks. Modern art sucks. I guarantee he's dead, but I guarantee there's things around that time that would be considered modern art in his eyes, that he would love, right? So what he's doing is just painting with a white brush. Oh my God, that was a bad pun, Daniel. So he's dismissing a whole gobs of art unfairly because they're not all the same thing. So 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 when Morley Safer, he says contemporary art. Okay, I understand a little bit that more. Because contemporary art means like it doesn't always have to be about painting a history scene or a beautiful landscape or whatever. Art can be kind of anything. And within the phrase contemporary art, and he's just sort of saying, well, this all kind of sucks, you know. Um, Maybe most of it sucks, and that's valid, but it's just like me saying all country music sucks. Like Johnny Cash is great, right? I'm a city boy, so I never grew accustomed to country music. So to me, to say country music sucks is horribly dismissive, and I would never say that because I'm sure there's great stuff other than like the bro country that I've mostly heard, you know. So yeah, so when that happens, how do you combat those thoughts? How do you combat those comments? So you want to look at things, the artwork individually, one by one. So this helps because not necessarily, but most pieces are individual, separate things. Sometimes they exist within the body of work, but um, but yeah, a lot of artists create different things for different reasons. So just saying all of this sucks because these three or four things suck, that's super unhelpful. I don't want you to do this in this class. I want you to judge things by one, right? So, like I said about country, don't dismiss minimalism, which is highly contentious, just because a few things look like effortless crap, right? Other things might blow your mind. Another one is consider many works, not just extreme examples. So again, what these men did were cherry pick things that they didn't like that are considered contemporary art, or modern art. So that what usually happens is the things that are the most extreme, those are the things that get the most press, right? So because that's what gets the most views or clicks. So obviously, like those men wouldn't have picked something nice and graceful that everyone would agree is beautiful. They're basically picking things that, again, that might shock people, that most people would think are crap. Um, and they're ignoring pretty much everything else that's great about modern art or contemporary art, you know. So to me, this is also a huge issue. It's just cherry picking the ones that will provoke the most outrage. For example, Robert Mapplethorpe, he was a photographer who did absolutely amazing, gorgeous photographs. One of his series was about heavy pornographic images. And later, after that body of work, he did an exhibition of flowers, and people protested that. So things like that happen where they take the most extreme example of an artist and sort of like blanket statement, point one, but they don't consider the other things that this person does. So yeah, when it comes to this kind of thing, within the movement, like dig deeper. Don't just look at the most outstanding things, right? Don't get sold these like quote unquote success stories of these art stars. They're art stars. They're famous probably because they've provoked a lot of people, or they have a lot of money, or they bought their way in, or something, you know. So yeah, just dig a little bit deeper into whatever movement you're dismissing, and just see what's in there. So be open to new ideas. This is another huge thing: is these men have these classical ideas of what art should be. So there's a difference between liking something and thinking everything should be like this, right? So this is I mean, this is obviously as important as the other ones, but being open to new ideas is crucial, in college, in life in general. And so basically, again, they're just reinforcing traditions, and traditions isn't always good. Tradition can be great. Tradition can provide a solid foundation, but as artists, we're pretty much, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but as personally as an artist, I don't want to repeat things that have been done already. I want to sort of introduce new things and new ideas, even though that's kind of hard to do because a lot of things are being done all the time. The attempt of doing that's important to me. So yeah, you don't have to like something, but maybe again look into it deeper. Like think about, okay, why is it this way? Um, and as a second point says, like, they don't have to, something doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be bad. Those two things, it doesn't have to be a black and white issue. Maybe you think it's interesting, it's weird, it's thought provoking, um, it's intriguing but ugly, things like that. Think about the context of, is again, do you not like it because it costs so much, for example? So yeah, it's important to really keep your mind open to new options, new perspectives, new ideas. Um, that will really help you in the long run and in life in general. Yeah. So yeah, so what to do instead? Listen, not just the artist, but also listen to other people and their perspectives. Think about why they might say something, why this is great, or maybe why it's not great. You know, so again, blind hatred towards something isn't helpful to anybody. So I really, really dislike these videos for the main reason of they were on CBS, I believe, and they're very influential and well-respected men, right? And they're acting as authority figures, even though Andy Rooney says he's not a what's it called? He's not an expert in art. People are gonna listen to his opinion. So go into the comment section of that video is just like, oh, you go get him, Andy. You know, all this modern art is crap. You know, just agreeing with him and parroting his stuff. Occasionally you'll get a thoughtful comment, but YouTube, not very often that will happen. So on a day-to-day level, like them saying that to their friends, no big deal, you know. But when that's broadcast to like millions of people and people look up to them and respect them, that really has an influence on humans, you know. Like like an old ancient example is when uh, Trump put on a face mask and anti-maskers like, oh, that looks badass, right? Like changing someone's mind just because they look up to this person, right? So think about that, like how people in power, people who have voices will say things and people will listen. Um, Basically, this also extends to cancel culture, people who saying they're canceled, but still can talk on a national level and aren't put away forever. That doesn't make sense. So, yeah. So, yeah, the thing about this is you don't have to be processing these things all the time, 24/7. I want you to do this in class during this term as much as possible and for the rest of your life, right? But sometimes you just don't have the energy to care about something or other. All right, and that's okay. You need to take care of yourself. You need to not stress out about like, oh, what would Daniel say that I'm just like walking past this and not writing a paragraph out? No, I don't care. Um, I I'm a human too. There's things I dismiss unfairly because I don't know enough about them, and that's just part of being human. We would be overwhelmed and if we didn't know how to block those things out. Um, like just like driving, right? Like you're focused on the road and other cars. You're not focused on like random people doing random things. You know, if you're a passenger, you can focus on that. But when you're driving, um, you need to focus on what makes the most sense and what's not going to get you killed. Okay, so again, you don't want to overwhelm yourself with details. Focus on what you need to focus, but when you do have the time to focus on art, think a little bit more deeply about it, and that will help you appreciate art more. Okay, so yeah, on your paper, just write down what you want from this class, and I'll give you 60 seconds. Thirty seconds. All right. So you don't need to turn that in or anything, but think about what you wrote and consider it and think about how that might change throughout the term. So think of it as your initial goals for this class. Okay. So again, this class will explore many different perspectives and ideas about art. Pardon me. Some of them I agree with personally, some of them I don't. Some of them have mixed feelings on. But either way, it's important to look at things differently. Um, Notice the different perspective of the camera of than this drawing. Ha ha ha. Um, so yeah, again, you only get out of art what you put into it. Of course, I have to put this slide at the end, well, second to last. Um, I want you to reflect upon that, um, how you've treated, that sounds weird, how you viewed art and thought about art in the past. And hopefully this class will help you think about it more in a different way or in different ways, deeper and having more understanding. Yeah. So here's the future topics for this class. I'm not going to read them all out. Um, yeah, it's so we're going over different sort of categories of art. We're going over about art, different media, I like talking about comics, so we'll talk about comics. And as you can see, there isn't a week for AI. There's only one lecture a week. I don't know how I'm going to fit that in. It might be part of week 10 bonus topics. Um, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's a very, very interesting thing to think about and consider. So yeah, and this is the art assignment. It's the best art channel there is, period. I will die on this hill. And it's a pretty much a good summary of what this class is about, more or less, in 13 minutes. But of course, it's a one-way thing. Yeah, the people who run the channel can comment and stuff like that, but you're not paying them. You're paying the college to have me teach you. So this does not substitute for the class. Okay, so that's the slideshow part, just going over a couple more things. So here's Moodle. I'm gonna enable the quiz right now. Edit, show. So now you can take the quiz. So yeah, in case you haven't seen the email, this is a link on how to navigate this course. It's a recording of oh my god, I guess I have to replace that. I re-recorded it and didn't replace it. But basically, that's how to deal with Moodle, like what these things are. Here's a Zoom link, here's the syllabus, here's a Discord server. I talk about the syllabus in that video, link to the Discord server. Here's a slideshow that I just went through. There's gonna be another link to this video after I've uploaded it and everything. Quiz should be obvious and activity, but I do want to emphasize that the activity and the quiz need to be done by the end of Sunday, 11:59 p.m. PST, which is the 9th. Yeah, the 9th. Otherwise, I'll have to drop you from this class. Okay, so don't forget to do those things. Don't forget to use Discord. This is how you'll turn in the first assignment. The first quiz you can only do here. The Discords where you do the intro, the first assignment. So yeah, and don't forget that when it comes to contacting me, you'll want to message me through Discord. So the way to do that is just right click on my icon, and well, it's not here, but I'll have to do it I'll go to my other test server. I just right click and hit message, and it'll bring this up, and you can just message people. So yeah, let me unshare screen. So yeah, that's it for this lecture. Ended a little bit early. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day and wonderful week. I'll see you on Discord. Bye-bye.